I wanted to give you a brief overview of MTSS so that you can look at the graphic on the previous slide, the giant green, yellow, and red triangle, and then the umbrella graphic on the next slide, and some of the other explanations on the next couple of slides that will give you lots more detail. But first, I wanted to just give you a big overview. MTSS, or Multi-Tiered Systems of Supports, is a framework for schools. It is not necessarily special education. It is not special education. I want to be clear about that. It is a way, in my brain, it is a way of organizing intervention to make sure all students are successful. It has what's called universal supports, and universal is exactly what it sounds like, whole school supports. And it has systemic and targeted instruction that goes after those areas in which any student is struggling. It can be intense intervention, it can be small group intervention, it can be whole grade level intervention. But the idea is that using data, you identify a student or a group of students that need more help with a skill, and you move on from there in an organized way. I've told you what it is. Now let me tell you a little bit about what it is not. It's going to look different in different schools. Smaller schools have different models of this framework than larger schools. Elementary looks a lot different than middle school. Elementary and middle school look a lot different than high school. So it's going to look different in your counties, in your schools, in your age groups. It is most importantly not a deficit model. It's not about what students can't do. It's about using data to help them all be successful. So think about the titles of these groups. So usually schools will have a committee or a group that really focus in on the MTSS and making sure it's coordinated at a building-wide level. And I've heard of them called child study teams, which is a team that looks at what's wrong, maybe wrong about that environment or that student, as compared to the same type of team that's called a student success team. Meaning this student is struggling, what can we do to make sure they're successful? I like that student success team much, much better because MTSS is not a deficit model. It's not about putting a student in a tier because they can't do something. It's about the levels of support that we provide. And lastly, a little bit controversial, it is not special education. It gets confusing because some people see that small tier 3 most intensive supports level as special education. It is not. Sometimes special education services and staff appear in the tiers, and that might be a sharing of staff or a collaboration of efforts for students with a unique need. But MTSS is not special education. It's not, again, meant to predetermine that a student goes through level 1 and isn't successful, level 2 and isn't successful, level 3 and automatically goes to special education. It's not that. It's about using data to make sure all student needs are met. Some people are tempted to describe this as pre-special education. It's not. It's universal. It's for all students to be successful. I really want you to take a look at these next 3 slides on your own and carefully. There's no video for me to go along with it, but I will dip in a few slides and talk to you about what each level looks like. So keep going and learn more about MTSS.